Welcome to See You on the Internet, a podcast exploring life, love, and the pursuit of happiness in the age of the internet. We're your hosts.
I'm Kate.
And I'm Nicole.
Let's get into it. Take two. As you guys know, if you've listened to this podcast or you've listened to our previous podcast, nothing ever goes as planned. So this is take two of recording this episode. Here we go.
Here we go. It's fine. You guys, all you missed is a little bit of ASMR. Kate and I doing ASMR, probably for far too long. You don't even want to hear that anyway, so it's not a big deal.
Not a big deal. We're cutting. You know what? This was meant to be.
It was meant to be. People are like, we don't give a shit about your ASMR. However, what we will be bringing back is because this is what I wanted to talk about today.
Because we're starting each episode with
something we saw
on the internet.
Yes.
And Nicole, what did you see on the internet?
Well, it's more of what I haven't seen on the internet because this is circling back to episode 1 where I talked about how we were talking about Jack Schlossberg and his crash out.
Now, keep in mind, everyone listening, you may or may not know all of this already since this was recorded in the past. Both of these episodes have been recorded in the past. But we're just catching you up.
So if you listen to episode 1, I talk about how Jack Schlossberg, JFK's grandson, political heartthrob, man of my dreams, is crashing out on the internet. And I thought maybe it was just a bit he was doing. I thought maybe it was to, create some attention around the RFK nomination and kind of just be like, wow, the whole Kennedy family is kind of crazy. Sweet Caroline, she's got a crazy son, and we can't confirm RFK. Okay, I was like, he's doing the Lord's work. It's great. However, last week, when you're listening to this, last week he had said, "I'm quitting social media. Goodbye, farewell." And we haven't heard from him since. And now all of his social media accounts are deleted. And I, for one, am stressed.
It's crazy because I feel like it was kind of the world's longest crash out.
It was like really long crash out.
He was crashing out for months.
But this is like a slow descent into
madness.
This is why I thought it was a bit, because I was like, no possible way someone has let him crash out this long. But it turns out he has no good friends. He has no friends who were like, hey, buddy.
I'm just saying, I think a lot of things have been happening in the background, and none of them good. I think maybe Mr. Spears, famously father to Britney, is maybe getting involved or at least being called for some advice, because I'm feeling conservatorship being called into action, and
free my man.
Either that or it's an Amanda Bynes situation. I don't know. None of it is good. None of it is feeling right.
Free my man. I don't know. Here's the thing. Is like, I truly don't think adults should be put in under conservatorships.
No.
I think that is a crazy thing that we do. Let people ruin their lives if they want to. Like, I don't know. Like, you're not under 18. Like, you're a full grown adult. Do whatever you want. If you want to crash out on the
cortex is fully developed, then I feel like at that point you're your own problem.
Like, not me though. If you see me crashing out on the internet, you better stop me, okay? Right here, right now. Don't let me crash out on the internet.
Yeah,
sometimes I already do.
Everyone's filing a petition to get us shut down immediately. They're like, "Wow, that's been happening for the past 4 years."
You're like, "Oh, you think Jack Schlossberg's crash out was a long time? Have you heard about Kate and Nicole?" And before, when we were filming, we were saying, well, can you blame him for crashing out? No, I cannot, because again, if I had to regularly be privy to all of the political craziness that was going on in the United States of America,
I just say nothing really matters.
My crash out would be at Montoya levels, okay? Montoya, por favor. I'd be running across the beach. Like, what are we talking about here? Like, I actually already feel that way. I saw some
Nicole does already feel that way. We all had to almost have an intervention in the group chat today. The phrase, Nicole, I desperately need you to get off the internet, was uttered. Like, urgently, please.
My friends, unlike Jack Schlossberg's friends, were like, put the phone down, log out, touch some grass. I'm gonna need you to log out for me. That's that meme. They were like, put it away.
Said, I can't.
I said, actually, I have a podcast called See You on the Internet.
We can't judge Jack Schlosser's friends because we can't confirm or deny that they didn't try.
No. You know what else I would like to bring up from the first episode? We have an update. Kate was talking about how I will fight for my men. She says Nicole has a new man in her life. That's over. So don't think that that's going to be brought up again. It's dead in the water.
Quick DOA. We're not, but I feel like at some point, maybe when emotions are lower, we will have to recap.
We can circle back on it.
The whirlwind that was this relationship, because I'll have you guys know, I personally have never been so involved and invested in a relationship.
Talk about Kate was aiding in my crash out. Kate was truly one of the reasons why I was crashing out so much. She got me spiraling.
I was spiraling.
In a tizzy.
I was in my own tizzy.
We're like, no,
we were not doing well.
You can't let that happen again.
We'll be bringing that back up on a future episode sometime soon, because it's almost too funny not to talk about. It's so funny. That's not the point of today.
We can laugh at my expense. It's fine. I get it.
You were laughing at your own expense.
Yeah, I am.
So, but that's not the point of today. Today's episode is not about Nicole's current love life, nor is it about crashing out on the internet. It is actually about finding your joy and your passion and entrepreneurship. It feels like a crazy segue, but we are talking with one of the coolest people that I think maybe exists ever. And I know that's a bold statement, but I think it's really true. We are talking to Larissa Loden, who is the owner of the brand aptly named Larissa Loden. She owns a jewelry brand that I've just said the name of 15 times. So it's Larissa Loden. I'll say it again. And
one more time.
Larissa Loden.
There you go.
She makes some of the coolest jewelry and accessories of all time. Truly, I like scroll this website and I'm just like, I gotta get out of here, because I'm gonna be Jack Schlossberg levels if I keep looking, because there's just so many amazing things. It's funky, it's cool, it's unique, it's like just so badass and like incredibly cool. Like it kind of toes the line of being like so niche, yet also very universal. Like I feel like I'm always
getting ads for the tits up. If you know what that is, a Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Tits up is her thing. Like she has the little studs that say tits up, and I just love them. And I'm like, this is niche, but like if you know, you know.
Yes. You know? And it's like you're gonna find something that's be like, oh my god, it's like she made this exactly for me.
Yeah.
But it's something that a lot of people are gonna find joy in. It's just, she's a really, really awesome person, and the brand is amazing. And we, the day of this podcast launching, have collaborated with Larissa and her team to create a motorsports F1 inspired accessories collection. There are studs, so earrings. There's a stud set, which is one of each of the studs that we've created. So there's 3 of them. There's a little checkered flag, there is a little champagne bottle, and a little F1 car. So that is the podium set, I believe it's called. One of each of the 3, so you can mix and match. You can also get them as pairs. And then we also have a claw clip that is shaped like an F1 car, which Nicole and I are both wearing right now if you're watching on YouTube. Brief intermission for us to show off the claw clips. And it was like, it was just such a fun experience for us to create this collection with them. And I think everyone is going to really love them. So I think without further ado, let's get into our chat with Larissa Loden herself.
Larissa, welcome to one of the first episodes of the See You on the Internet pod.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
We literally could not be more excited to have you on the pod. This is such a joyous celebration, a wonderful collab. This has been months in the making at this point, and I think that making a jewelry collection and claw clips accessories for the F1 Girlies, it was only a matter of time, and I can't believe it's actually been this long. for someone to actually make it happen. So first of all, thank you.
You're welcome. It was the least I could do for society. So,
Yeah,
truly.
Yeah.
Truly.
And I would love for anyone that is listening to this podcast that has lived under a rock and isn't familiar with Larissa Loden, the person and the brand, could you give us a little info? Like who are you? Who is this brand? What is the ethos here? And why should everyone be, if they haven't heard of you before, be ashamed? We're shaming people. Number one topic is we're shaming anyone that doesn't know about you yet.
And it is okay. I'm going to just let you guys know it makes perfect sense that maybe you haven't heard of me yet, or maybe it doesn't make perfect sense because our meta ads are fiercely tracking you down every single moment. But we're really like a jewelry brand. Like if you've ever felt like unseen or like misunderstood, we're really that brand for you. Like I think a really good way to encapsulate this is earlier last year, we made a black sheep necklace. So if you've ever felt like you were just kind of like a little not of the mainstream, like kind of like the core middle of the bell curve, and you just have a little bit more variety to you. And honestly, just like not being put in a box, like we're the jewelry brand for you. Like facts are, you can like fucking love F1, crush your professional career, want to hang out and do all of these things. Like I play pickleball. Like I'm like, you just can't box me, you guys. Like this is like not boxable. And that's really who we are, is that jewelry brand that really encapsulates that. We like to say that we make people feel seen. And that's really what the jewelry brand is about, with a lot of irreverence on the side. So yeah.
To be fair, yes, I do get a lot of the Larissa Loden Instagram ads, and every single time I'm surprised by something new, and I'm like, I need that.
Literally.
Yeah. I mean, now it will happen, everybody, because you're listening to this, and that's just how weird shit works. So yeah,
exactly.
Sorry, not sorry. Yeah.
That's exactly how it works. And good, it should. I feel like you kind of have the dream career, because I feel like who doesn't like grow up and be like, I'm gonna like design jewelry and like fun things and like make earrings that say fuck on them. Like I just feel like that's just kind of like literally the dream career. But what I feel like is very, very interesting about you is that this wasn't your dream job forever, and you started your career as an art teacher. And you actually said, like word for word, you never wanted to be an entrepreneur. That was not what you wanted to do at all. Was there a moment that, well, I mean, obviously there was a moment where that all changed, but what was that moment that you were like, okay, I'm actually going to do this?
Yeah, to give it some context, I grew up in a small business entrepreneurial family in upstate New York. But like when I say like small business entrepreneurial, that like in modern terms sounds still kind of fancy, but it was like a small retail gift store in upstate New York. And it was just like feast or famine. Like in fall, when everybody from the city comes up and they're like, upstate, fall colors, this is beautiful. But then the rest of the year, we were like, there are no people here, and this is a grind. And I just saw that, and I was like, I don't want any of this. I was like, facts, I want to go into a stable career. I want to be an art teacher, you guys, because like you just are gonna make so much money. And
famously so stable right now.
So stable. Like, so yeah. You just tell yourself these stories here, people. But the facts are, it's just like ingrained in my soul. And so even when teaching and like going to college, I was making and selling jewelry on the side. Slowly, I was just building this empire with no intention whatsoever. And then it came to a point, literally, I was grinding it out, going to Vegas to do what's called Magic, which is this like fashion trade show, taking red-eye flights to be back in my classroom the next day. And one of these times happened, and one of my dear friends still, who was the assistant principal at the time, like I just came to her and I was like, yeah, we just signed the Smithsonian. And she was like, you do know you can always come back to this. Like you can leave, like it is okay. And I think it was just like that permission, like that I needed. Like I was just grinding it out hard. Like at that point in time, I was still part-time teaching, and I had 2 employees. Like, I mean, I just was like going non-stop.
Yeah, the hustle was real on that.
The hustle was real. I mean, this is also in like girl boss era. So like everything you saw in like media was
You're
like,
leaning in.
Yeah,
you're leaning in
really hard.
Like you'll sleep when you're dead, and that's how you should want it.
Yeah. But I mean, I honestly though thought like I did love it at that time too, but I didn't realize like what would happen if I gave one thing my full attention. And so yeah, so just like they were super supportive of just like me going in, and then yeah, it leaned in, and now I mean honestly that's probably 8 years ago. So pandemic years are real blurry. So yeah.
I mean, I feel like not that this is our full-time job, right? But it does take a big chunk of our day-to-day. Before you got on, I was just complaining to Kate about doing our business taxes and how like I am responsible for this. And if anyone has listened to the TG1F pod before, like one of our 170 episodes, about probably 50% of them I have been complaining about running a business. And I similarly, like I used to work in venture capital. And so I worked at a firm where we invested in seed stage. So anyone who doesn't know what that is, that's like 2 to 5 people running a company. It's really grinding. You don't sleep, and you have metrics to meet because you have investors to keep happy. And I saw that and I was like, I literally could never do this. I never want to start my own thing. I never want to be responsible for this. And actually, it turns out when you're really passionate about something and you don't have investors breathing down your neck, it's actually kind of fun, no matter how hard it is. But similarly to you, I was really like 5 years ago. Well, I guess 5 years ago we started Two Girls, but like 5 years before we started Two Girls, like if you had asked me if I would kind of have my own thing, I'd be like, absolutely not. Never in a million years. So you really never know how it's going to go.
No, you really don't know how it's going to go. And I think that's the joy of it. I love it always when you like say these things are like, I would never do that. And then like you look at like, old you and you're like, oh yes.
Oh, yes. I remember when I said that.
Yes. Okay.
I mean, it's just crazy. I always hate the question, like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? I'm like, I don't know. Life is going to throw a lot of things at me, even in the next 1 year, that it could change the trajectory of my life forever. I got to be ready to roll with the punches.
Yeah.
I got to be ready to have fun and just do whatever is going to make me happy at the end of the day.
Word.
Okay, so something that we love and obviously we are very familiar with is the idea of reinventing oneself to enter a new era of being. So we're currently in the process of reinventing our new brand. What do you think about the idea of personal eras? Was it something you consciously thought about when starting your brand?
Personal eras, when consciously starting my brand, hell no. But when you guys sent over those questions, I was like, oh yeah, I totally have had personal eras. Like I then saw it and I was like, oh, that's a lovely way to say that. I think it just happens though naturally. Like I think facts are certain people, certain things happen in your life. You like something just happens and then you just kind of like, reinvention is kind of a tricky thing where I'm like, I don't know if you're really inventing yourself, but just really kind of broadening like what you once knew and new things, because you're just like, oh, I'm kind of, I always like think of it like horse blinders where you might be looking this way and now you're kind of like looking this way a little bit, you know, like those things are still there, but that's happening. So, yes, like but many, many, many personal eras. So yeah.
What do you think that you have like, maybe not a favorite, because I feel like maybe right now is your favorite, but like what's an era that you're kind of like nostalgic for?
So actually currently it's so funny that you said that. I am very deep. So I just got an exchange student from Greece.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, fun.
So lovely.
Like in your home or like at work? Like you're at work? Like
at my house.
At home. Okay.
What?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Maybe she was like they're like on an exchange program. And they're like working at Larissa Loden. Like
so it's actually weird. Like so 2 weeks ago I was in Costa Rica and like this person I kind of know, but we're not like she used to be a neighbor, but she's not. She just like texted me and she was like, hey, would you ever be open to hosting an exchange student? And like she doesn't know what time. And I was like, would I ever be open to hosting an exchange student? Because I was an exchange student in Latvia when I was 17. I know. And first, for people that don't know where Latvia is, it's in the Baltic countries. You need to look it up. She's a gem. And so, yeah, so I was like, would I host an exchange student? Literally, I've been telling my husband that we need to host an exchange student. And of course, I was like, what program is he from? Like, tell me all of these things. I'm super interested. And it's just been so great having him here. And I just have been reminded so much of my exchange experience. So that actually was like, because that totally changed me. Because before that, grew up, like I said, in this super small cow town in upstate New York. And I was very much so this goth punk rock kid. And there's only 5 goth punk rock kids in all of my high school. And I hated one. And then, of course, we broke up. And then all the other goth punk rock kids are all men and the boys. They're boys, to be clear. And then they're like, they excommunicated me from the group. And then I was like, no, I'm going to Latvia.
And you know what? Talk about a breakup glow up. You said, I have to leave the country. Actually, I need to leave the country.
Yeah, I need to leave the country. And it was like the best. Like, I mean, it just like, it completely changed me because like, any person that is willing to do an exchange experience in high school, like that's truly saying like, my family, new friends, new school, new language. I landed there and I was like, whoa. Cause I had to go to a Russian school. I was like, you have a different alphabet. I was like, I cannot so.
Oh yeah, my gosh.
I know.
Okay, wait, hold on quickly. Why did you decide on Latvia?
So I have Latvian heritage. And so that's what happened. And I just think it's so funny because I'm always like, did you guys not read my application? I talked about, I'm so proud of my Latvian heritage. And then they're like, you have Russian host family. And I was like, what the fuck is this? So yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Incredible.
Well, yeah, I mean,
really, I was not expecting that question to go that route. That was amazing.
Welcome. You're welcome. Yeah. I mean,
I'm so obsessed with that. Okay. So I guess, that may answer the next question, which is what advice would you give to someone who's ready to start a new era of their life but maybe doesn't know exactly what that is? I think maybe the answer is go to Latvia.
I mean, I think the answer is always just go for it. So what's kind of interesting in my current era is I actually I felt really lost several years ago. And so I actually went and I had an executive coach and I just loved my relationship with my coach. So I actually went and got my coaching certification. So I coach people now also on the side. And I think what I always is this idea of fear and not doing something. I'm always not knowing is the worst thing because you can always do something. And then if it doesn't work out, now you have just a new data point and then you can just move on, but it's living in that fear and that headiness. I always talk about as mental real estate. That mental real estate is so much if you're just tossing it over, just do it because then you'll just be able to move on. So that's where I always say your personal arrows of just go for it. You never know. It could be the smallest thing. So, yeah.
The anticipation for me is always the worst. Just waiting for something to happen. Yeah. Even something as simple as getting a shot at the doctor. I'm panicking before and they're like, oh, are you bad at getting shots? I'm like, yeah, I'm so bad. I hate getting shots. And then I panic and then I get the shot and I'm like, that was actually
so fun.
So easy. Yeah. I didn't feel I get that way with every single thing in my life. Yeah. It's I get very it's the anticipation that gives me the anxiety and then things end up okay. So I feel you just have to do it. Just
got to get out of your head about it.
Yeah. You got to get out of your head about it and just do the thing. I think the doing the thing is actually the best thing always. And then, 9 times out of 10, it actually ends up pretty banger. Or you learn a really good life lesson and it feels really painful in the middle of it where you're this was the worst. And then you look back at it and you're like, oh, fine, universe, it served a purpose.
Rejection is redirection, always. Always.
That's a good one.
To that, yeah. All right, bangers here, people. You want one-line bangers? We got them.
We got them.
Yeah.
So today, on the day that this episode drops, and everyone is currently listening to it, we are launching the collection together, which is very exciting. We talked about it a little bit. The See You on the Internet X Larissa Loden collection is an ode to our collective love for Formula One. But we want to know, what was your journey like into Formula One?
So my journey into Formula One, 100%, I will admit it. It started with listening to Armchair Expert, a huge Dax Shepard fan.
Wow.
That. Yeah. And then it was the universe was really, I think, trying to tell me something. Cause then
So you were listening to the Daniel Ricciardo episode?
Yeah. I mean, way before this. But then also a YouTuber I love, Cleo Abrams, did just like this massive deep dive on Formula One, like probably like 2 or 3 years ago. And then I just was like, I've always loved fast cars and like Monster Jam. And it was very much so like nobody around me really liked it. And then I was like, you know, there comes a point as an adult where you're like, you know what, fuck it. You know what, nobody's like, I just have to like this. You know, I've always loved, there's something about when a car revs up that just is like, oh, that's lovely. Yeah. Can we have more of that, please? So that's really where it started. And then mutual person, our head of marketing that you all know, Steph, came in. And then it was like, oh, we get to double down on this now? Okay, fun. So that was really where I more even got to double down and geek out, and then found like the community in F1. And then I think when I really started saying it just like so much more in this like past year and living outside of the box, like then I was like, okay, like the F1 girlies are out there and they're fierce. And then it was amazing. And then we went to Austin, we did Coda, so we did that Grand Prix, and that was awesome. So it was so awesome. Fun. Yeah.
So you've had a very exciting foray into Formula One.
Yeah.
You've been in it, and you have known that your passion for loud cars has always been deep in your soul, and I love that.
So deep. I think it started with like Demolition Derby though, because I grew up in a small town. So I think like I am at my core a hillbilly, I think.
You know what? Yeah. My first motorsport experience was also a Demolition Derby racing experience in Southern Illinois. So I get it.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's so funny. It just
that's redneck white trash. Fun. That's the entryway, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Demo Derby only.
Yeah.
It was so fun for us too, because like we were saying at the beginning of this episode, there is, F1 and motorsport themed jewelry out there. There's, some accessories, but there was nothing that we saw that really just captured like the full essence of the fun of Formula One. There's always been, this is something that Nicole and I have talked about forever, is there's always been F1 merch, and especially, from, the sport itself, and it's fine. It's very basic. Like it says, the licensed phrases, Formula One, the teams on it. But there's something about having a brand that really can capture like the essence and the vibes of like the people that care about an industry. And so it just felt like you and your brand were the perfect partners to bring an F1 fangirl collection to life, because you understand the fun, you understand like the quirkiness, and like just like the fun of being an F1 fan, and especially a female F1 fan. I feel like the collection really just goes to show like you don't just have to wear like a team shirt or a hat. You can really like accessorize with things that you don't even just have to wear to the track. You can wear it on a day-to-day basis and start a conversation based on what you're wearing. Like I wear my, shameless plug, everyone. I wear my see you on the internet Larissa Loden hair clip of the F1 car all the time. And it's so fun when people just come and they're like, where did you get that? That's so fun. Do you watch F1? It's just like such a good conversation starter. And the pieces are so fun and cute. And I really just can't wait for people to see them and wear them and show them off, because I think everyone's going to really love them.
Yeah, I think that's like where it's really when you get like a true designer in on something, that it just really makes it something that you want. Because I don't know how this happens, but like, like sports stuff in general, like, I don't know, like if they like just pumped it into ChatGPT and they were like, design me sports collection. And then they're like, this is what you want. You're like, no.
Yeah.
Like, so that's, I think, like where a designer just kind of knowing like, yes, I do want it to be very petite, like, and I want these certain things where it is exactly like, I want to be able to wear it all of the time and just really like have my love show. But I always think like, we always like want to do it in like way when I'm designing is like, what would make me feel like I'm representing what I love, but it's also not just like this like massive billboard sometimes.
It's just
100% like, in your face. Like it's that nice like in between that. I think that's where the magic happens. So yeah.
100%.
I think hit the nail on the head with this collection, and I can't. I really just like. I'm so excited for people to see them because
I know I'm like wearing the race car and the checkered flag right now, but I'm like they like I'm like how close can I get to?
I know, like you can't really see. People are gonna be like they're gonna love them. Like again, we've already gotten so many comments on like where did you get that clip? Where did you get those earrings? We're like, you'll know soon enough. Patience is a virtue.
Is it? But yes. We have to do this. This is the marketing plan, you guys. This is just how it happens. So
we've been given a strict marketing plan and we are following it.
Yes, exactly.
I'm in PR, all right? I'm not breaking an embargo. I'm not breaking my own embargo. That's for sure. Get excommunicated from my career.
Oh, so true.
Well, to talk a little bit more about F1 because why not?
Yeah,
why not?
Who is, out of curiosity, who is your favorite driver and team? Who do you root for?
I mean, this is where it's funny because I feel like I'm picking like the Timothée Chalamet or the Brad Pitt, but I do fucking love Lewis Hamilton. Like, I just love Lewis Hamilton. Yeah. But Mercedes is like, I mean, Lewis can go, to Ferrari, and I'll always like love him. And I understand. I know it was a childhood dream, so I'm happy for him. Like you go do that. But Mercedes with Toto, and Russell, and now that Valtteri is back, like as my brain is breaking because everybody doesn't know this, but we celebrated a baby shower before this, and I had some wine, and so yes,
it's the perfect way to be on this podcast,
literally.
Yeah, but just as the substitute driver. So there we go, brain working now. I just love that team. I think they just like have such a good energy. And Toto was on Armchair the other day and I was like, you just seem like a delightful human. And his entry into F1 too, I was like, without having to have driven until he was an adult, I just think they're a cool team. I think they just like do a nice job together. So yeah.
I think one thing they really understand is a brand. They do a brand and their story really, really well.
They do.
Yeah. I know. And I'm a sucker. Like I have a brand, but I'm also like a sucker for good marketing. And I was like,
of course. We always are.
You have to appreciate the things that you're good at.
Yeah. I know.
It'd be crazy if you're an artist and you were out and you were like, I actually don't really care about other people's art. Like you have to be like passionate about the things that you are good at and you can see the value in.
Yeah. All right. Who is, I know you because you asked me who my favorite, but now I'm going to ask you, who is your least favorite? Oh.
We can't say rookies because we don't know them enough yet.
I know. Like jury's still out on Kimmy. That's where I'm kind of like, I don't know. Like, yeah.
Honestly, right now, I'm so sorry. It's George Russell. I just don't like his vibes right now. I just like, I don't know what it is about him. Like, he's kind of pissing me off lately. I just like, we've talked about how he feels like a politician these days. And like, I just don't know what it is.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to go with George right now. He has an opportunity to turn it around with Kimmy in this new season, but he is on the cut list.
Thin ice.
Currently.
He's on thin ice. Yeah. I'm going to say Checo. Because he's not even driving anymore.
He's not even in the team.
You're right. Okay. Can't say
I know, that's where it's tricky. Your brain is like, everything's got to be aligned. Like, what's going on here?
Because they hung on to him for so long. It hasn't really registered that they let him go finally. Okay, then I would just have to say Lance Stroll because I just forget that he's there.
Yeah.
I've just been like, he doesn't do anything for me. He doesn't really do anything in general. So I'm just kind of like, It's not even that he's my least favorite. It's just that I don't have any sort of opinion about him. Yeah. And I feel like apathy is worse.
Yeah.
Than straight dislike.
No, because hatred is still passion. It's a passion of some sort versus not caring.
Apathy is the worst thing that a person can be.
There's got to be a song lyric about that somewhere.
Somewhere. Probably by like Hawthorne Heights or something. Like it just feels like a Hawthorne Heights like anthem.
That feels right.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get to the fact check portion of this.
Yeah.
We'll find the lyrics.
Alex is like song lyrics about apathy. Okay, before we hop into a very fun little segment that we're gonna have you join, would love to just to kind of give the people listening here some last little information. Where can people find you? Where can they, check out this collection and all the other amazing, super funky, unique, and cool collections that you guys are creating all the time?
Yeah. The best place on the internet is to find us at Larissa Loden. Same thing for all social handles is Larissa Loden. Google will know if you just put it in there and everything like that. It'll figure it out. And yeah, we ship really fast. I think we're like better than Amazon. We have a soul. So there we go.
There you go.
There you go, people. Yeah.
That's the elevator pitch of all elevator pitches, I think.
I mean, I know we are a little biased because we did collab on a line with you guys, but genuinely like love all of the things that you guys are doing. It's really hard every single time. I'm like, I need to not be purchasing all of this jewelry right now. So you guys listening, you'll definitely find something that you're gonna like.
Oh man, I mean, buckle up
if
too.
Not the F1 collection, it's certainly something else.
Yeah, I mean, after like this year, 10 out of 10. The collections are dialed and they're good. So sorry, not sorry.
My wallet is shaking.
it should be shaking. Like I'm like, so marketing, could we release this a little earlier so I can like I know I can have it, but I can't share it, and that like just seems rude too. So yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna hop into our Kate Nicole featuring Larissa Hotline segment this week. So I'm gonna play the message for us, and then we'll do a little chit chat about it after it's done playing.
Okay.
Hi, Kate and Nicole. It is Maddie. I first wanted to say that I'm really proud of you guys for following this path, but I miss your voices, and I can't wait for the new pod to come out. No rush. Anyways, my question for you is, you've both in the past talked about finding different careers and jobs and layoffs, and so kind of just if you have advice or how you guys have navigated the workforce, like as a 30-year-old who's kind of feeling stuck in her career and not sure it's where I want to be, just looking for any advice or little tidbits that might be helpful for navigating that path. All right, I can't wait to see you guys back on the internet. Bye.
Amazing. Also crazy that she
kind
of like called out the pod name and she didn't even know it yet. Amazing.
The brand is strong.
Yeah.
Okay, Maddie. Well, I think similarly, like, I think this is a great episode. It's like we planted this call. We didn't, but it's like we did. It's like you were in our brains. I think hopefully you've learned a lot from our conversation with Larissa so far. But I don't know, Larissa, what would you say it was kind of, I mean, 30 is a big, I feel like, transition year for people. I think you're coming into a new version of yourself. Mm-hmm. What was kind of like the one big piece of advice that you would like tell your 30-year-old self?
To be honest, from listening to that call, because what I'm kind of picking up from that person is like a little bit of like, they're not sure what the current path and trajectory they're on is the path or trajectory that they want. I'm 100% biased, like as from having a coach and being a coach, but one of my really good friends, we kind of went through this similar thing, and she went and got a career coach. And it's really like been super beneficial for her because it allowed her to really like an unbiased person kind of like work through like what are their strengths, like what actually like gives them energy in the workplace, and then kind of refine that alignment and then to go get those jobs in that area. Like really like looking at, just because you have certain skills doesn't mean that those skills are also like the things that you really want to do and give you energy. Right. And so what are like the other options? Because there's so many cool, like there's not even like, there's just so many jobs out there, like really amazing jobs that maybe you didn't realize that you want.
Yes.
So I think it's very okay. And I think it's super encouraged to kind of shake it up and then go for it. I mean, and I know it's like when you're 30, it just feels like, oh my God, like I've done so much and I don't feel like I've gotten far enough. But then I'm like, holy shit. Like I turned 40 last year. I was like, oh my God, there's so much. Like I was like, facts are, I have to do this whole thing all over again if I'm going to live to 80. Like, yeah. So just like go in and reinvent yourself now. I mean, I think that's the thing is like, I'm sure all of us have seen people that are like our parents' age or whatever, and they're just filled with regret. So yeah. Just shake up that puzzle board and, you know, reinvent it. Up. Yeah.
Shake it up, shake it off.
Yeah.
There's always time. There's a tweet going around right now where someone was like, is it okay to like restart at 27? And everyone's like, are you joking? Yes, it's okay to restart at 27.
Oh my God.
I
literally just pulled my earbud out of my ear because I was like, what the hell? 27?
I also think it's an important thing to remember, and I feel like, Larissa, you were talking about this earlier when you were talking about like grind culture, girl boss, hustle culture. I also feel like it's very important to remember that you work to live, you do not live to work. And your path and like the path that you're supposed to be on may not have anything to do with what you are doing as your quote unquote career. Like it doesn't necessarily mean that your 9 to 5 every day has to be your dream job. There's like such thing as like a good enough job, and a job where you go and you enjoy the people you work with, and you know, generally enjoy the work you do, and you're good at it, but it's what you do outside of that is really kind of like the passion and the excitement, and that's kind of another place to explore. And I feel like there's this like mindset of like, I need to have my dream job, and I need to be, you know, doing something where I, you know, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. And I think that's like such pressure for a lot of people that are like, you know, I don't know how to go out there and like find that job. But I think it's also kind of what you make of your life, and really valuing the time outside of work, and making sure that you're valuing yourself, and you're not viewing yourself as just like a worker. Like you are not just your career. You are so much more than your career. And what are you doing that's like going to bring you joy? And like, do you want to volunteer somewhere that's like really going to like bring you joy and like make you feel fulfilled? Do you want to like, you know, start a jewelry business that you're doing on the side? And you know, whether or not that is something that, you know, works and you can end up doing that as a career, or if it's just something that's like kind of therapeutic and fun for you on the side. I think that, you know, you don't always have to be in that perfect sweet spot in all aspects of your life. But if you can find a way to make one aspect of your life feel really kind of perfect, you can focus on that. Doesn't all have to be perfect.
No. Yeah. +1 to that.
Incredible. And and a final note is that I stole this from our friend Lily, but some years are for leaning in and some years are for lying down. So it's okay to do both. But Larissa, thank you so much for coming on the pod with us. It was such a pleasure. I know this will not be the last time we talk to you. So
I'm around. I'm on the internet.
Exactly. Everyone go check out the collab if you haven't seen it already. And we'll talk to you soon.
Awesome. Thanks, y'all. Appreciate it.
Thanks. Bye. Well, you know, much like our friend Jack Schlossberg, we all have to go through different eras. We have to reinvent ourselves, even at the expense of our old selves. And I think that there is no greater joy than being able to know yourself deeply enough to know that you want to change something. And I think that this episode really just went hand in hand with this new rebrand that we've been doing. You know, we've been thinking about it for so long, and Two Girls will always be like such a fun era for the two of us. But, you know, I think life gets boring if you keep doing the same things over and over again. So I'm really excited to be in this new era, see what new experiences it has to offer us and what new shenanigans we get into.
The shenanigans will be ongoing.
They'll be Gannon. I'll tell you what. The shenanigans will be Gannon. They'll be Gannon. The shenanigans will be Gannon.
Okay. Sure.
Anyways,
let's get into Book Nook.
Book Nook. It's something that you guys have all been waiting for. I know that for certain.
And it's something that we've also been waiting for.
Yeah. The DMs have been popping about this. And
no, it's not Crescent City 3.
That's coming at some point. We'll get there, guys. I promise.
I have to at some point. No, this is talking about the fastest selling book, romance novel of, I think, ever.
Which is so disappointing to me.
And that is
Onyx Storm.
Onyx Storm. And
Onyx Storm lovers, beware. Tread lightly. If you
tread lightly, don't be mad at us. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion, and this is ours. And I just think there's a lot of things that we could say. There's a lot of things to say, so it's going to be tough to kind of keep this into a short segment. But
because this could be a full 3-hour long episode about
literally
all of the things that I have to say.
At least. Yeah. I think the first thing that comes to mind is what?
Where? Why? How?
All of the question words. Who, what, where, when, why, and how. And I think maybe my advice to Rebecca Yaros would be maybe think about those questions. Let's get some sticky notes and let's write who, what, where, when, why, how. Stick those on our whiteboard as we're drafting and just maybe think about answering a couple of them.
Yeah, because I'll tell you what. I left this book with more questions than answers.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's fine sometimes, but I also didn't get any of my questions answered from Iron Flame either. So now we're just doubling down on the types of questions that I have. And also we've introduced my biggest gripe. 92 motherfucking characters were not introduced, but written about in this book. 92. Counted them myself. I truly just cannot believe that she had the audacity.
You know what you're giving right now? You're giving Ferris Bueller, and he's like 9 times. 9 times. Talking about how many days Ferris has missed from school. And 92.
92. Okay, Rebecca, that's crazy. That's crazy behavior.
I don't even know that many people.
You're only supposed to know, like, there's like this book about like human connections. Like, you're only supposed to know 100 people. Like, that's it. If you max out over 100, like, you are not really like doing well as a person. So Rebecca is getting up there. Okay, Violet knows too many people. This is why she's becoming dumb, and she can't remember anything. She can't remember to share anything that she knows with us, and this is why her and Dane need to figure out the stupid codes on the notebooks, and they also don't tell us what they are.
So here's I'm gonna rewind a little bit. We're gonna back up for a second.
Back up. Sorry, I'm just getting really heated. I'm getting like
really hot. So I think my overall thoughts on the book is the first 45%. I'll be nice and I'll say 30%. The first 30% could have been axed. I just think we jumped into a scene and it felt as if this is what it felt like. It felt like I was dreaming. I felt like, when you're in a dream and you're like, oh, like how did I get here? Who are these people? And you're like, oh, but I should know this. Like that's how I felt the first 30% of this book was we just kind of jumped into something. And I was like,
yeah, like we left off with Xaden being Venom, and then now seemingly we're just back in the school and it's normal and like
everyone's kind of fine. And so I think the first 30% I was really confused. I was Googling a lot. I was asking a lot of questions. I was hopping back into Iron Flame and Fourth Wing to be like, am I stupid? I was feeling very much like Ariana Grande in the viral Holding Space interview, where she afterwards was like, I thought I was an idiot. She was like, you seem to understand what she was saying, and she seemed to understand what she was saying. You guys seem to get each other, and I was there confused, and I thought I was stupid. And I'm like, that's how I was feeling at the first part of Onyx Storm.
100%.
I will say, though, once they started going on their, like, epic quest, I did lock in. I still have gripes about it, but I did kind of fly through. I was turning the page. I was invested in the storyline, and I will say that I think there was a lot of potential in this book. There just needed to be like one single editor.
I agree. I think that we should have done less. We should have done way less battle brief. Way less battle brief.
You hate a battle brief. Nicole hates a battle brief.
And we should have just done more quest. Okay? Because I'm mad about the lack of details that we actually got of them on their quest.
Yes.
I'm like,
they were like, we don't think we're going to get to all these islands. And then they just get to all the islands. And I'm like, where's the time crunch? Like, why did we not give ourselves more time here? Rebecca, you wrote the book. You could have given them more time.
One of the parts where I was like audibly yelling out loud was there like, oh my God, we don't have enough time. We only have 6 months until the wards, I think, fell.
Yeah.
Again, unclear. But they're like, until the wards, we only have 6 months. Next chapter. A month had gone by. What do you mean a month had gone by? You were just complaining about we have no time. And
what happened in that month?
30 days? What are we doing here? So then they're like, oh, we're on very specific. We can't go to the islands. We got to go north. We can't go to the islands, but we're going to go to the islands anyway. And I'm like, yeah, that's what you should be doing. You guys should be committing treason and just doing whatever you want, like for the sake of things, like nut up.
For the sake of things.
Like
in general.
For
the sake of things.
And so I'm like,
get out there.
I'm like, okay, the islands are cool. We've literally never heard about the islands before. Let's get into it. Let's learn a little bit more. Oh, maybe each island is named after one of the gods, but I'm not sure because we don't learn about this until like the last page of the book. And then I'm like, did we know anything about Zayden's mom? She comes in and I said, am I misremembering the books? Who is this woman? What do we know about her? It doesn't feel like a big deal to me, but I guess it was. And I'm like, there were just so many things that it could have been such a big, like, oh my God moment. And yet it fell flat every single time.
Yeah. There were just so many things that I feel like she had a lot of bombs she wanted to drop, but she didn't know how to drop them in a very effective way.
Yes.
And then she didn't let them settle. And it was just like, on to the next thing. And I'm like, well, I'm still trying to process this. And here is my biggest complaint. Because my biggest complaint is, I said this in our book club. That's why Nicole and I are scattered. We did have a book club, so we did discuss all of this, and I think we just have a lot of thoughts.
I've at this point have been talking about this book for the past 2.5 weeks,
literally,
with anyone who will listen to me. And so every time I talk about it, I find something new to be mad about.
And my thing is, Fourth Wing was really good, and it was successful because she used Violet's former status as a scribe to explain things that were happening.
Yes.
Violet would go and she would say, oh, we're talking about this place. Well, in my training as a scribe, I learned blah, blah, blah. And that was how she kind of like built the world and like explained things to us without having to be boring and like have Violet like reading a textbook. She also like, when Violet ever had to do anything like hard or taxing, she would literally like recite things she learned as a scribe. Right. And like, that's how you learn stuff about the world. We did not get a single bit of that in this book. And I'm like, Violet, what did you learn as a scribe about these islands? What did you learn as a scribe about being dedicated to a god? What does that mean? What did you learn about that? Like, I know that you're smarter than this. Like, you're constantly being thought of and described as being the smartest person in the room, but you're now not sharing any of that knowledge with me, and I don't understand what's happening. And I think that was like a huge miss, was like they just started relying on Jasenia as like the lone scribe, but Jasenia doesn't talk. So how am I supposed to learn anything from Jasenia when she doesn't speak? She just signs, and it's just, she's just flirting with Sawyer. So what am I supposed to learn from her?
Did you say that to me? You probably didn't, but it was like, I've only just now learned that Jasenia is deaf and not that she's signing because she works in a library.
Wait, really?
You think she's just signing because she works in the library?
I thought all of the scribes just signed.
No, I know. It's because she's deaf.
Yet another thing that I feel like should be reminded of people. Like, it's, and another thing.
Here's the thing too, like with that whole thing, Violet, there are so many parts where Violet's like learned information. And she's like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm learning this. And then we do not get to know it. We don't get to know it until like chapters later. Or she's
like, oh, I read all of my dad's books backwards and forwards 17 times. Doesn't say a single thing she learned in these books. And I'm like, we committed high treason to get these books. And I don't get to know what's in it? Like, what do you mean? Everyone almost just died in this, like, hidden away bookstore so that you could get these books, and I'm not allowed to know what's inside of them. Like,
Like, it was
What?
truly just so astounding because for me, it's like it's written in first person. Like, we are in Violet's head.
Yes.
I should not be questioning what Violet is thinking about, what she knows. And I get that there could be moments where we're like, again, waiting for the bomb to drop, like this moment of oh my god, but there's so much time in between when we actually what we thought we've learned and then the truth that I don't even remember what I'm supposed to be thinking about.
Right. I think because also like, and I think everyone says like it's very wordy, it's a very long book, and so like obviously yeah, like we're asking for more information in this long book. So I have a theory that she probably had, hopefully, I didn't even hear the benefit of the doubt. I hope she'd written a lot more and had given us kind of more of this information that we desperately want. But they were like, we have to cut this book down. It can't be like this long. And so, because I know that she ended up having to take some chapters out here and there. And I'm like, I feel like though we needed those.
She should have taken out the first chapters.
Yeah.
And not any of the good stuff.
Yeah.
Because what have we even learned about
I would have been fine with like a 3 months later. After this battle had happened, what's going down 3 months later? Where's Xaden at? Let's pick up there instead of like the moment of, if we weren't gonna like end up making any progress for another like
the Jack Barlow situation. We get absolutely no information out of him whatsoever. No. Why is he even there? Maybe this will come in because like obviously at the end they like bring him, but then Garrick like takes him away again. I don't really know. Like what is his actual value driver other than maybe us learning that you can drain things from items, which then
and also that he said that they can like hide themselves, and so I feel like there's like that whole thing of like, oh, maybe someone here could be a venom, we would never know.
But again, this is like, and this was also one of my gripes. I have so many gripes, obviously, but like there were no points where like one of the things I love about SJM is that throughout the book there are Easter eggs that kind of lead you to the end and like the big oh my god moment.
Yes.
And so like there's a moment where at some point they're like, oh, the Venom know where we're at, we have to have a mole in our midst. Okay, it's mentioned once. And then never again until the last chapter when Xaden is like, pan check. Oh, there he is. That's the traitor. Okay, I wanted to be able to try and figure out who I thought the traitor was.
Right.
I think that's fun. That's a fun reading experience for me. Like, I want to be able to put the pieces together and be like, I saw that coming. I knew it. Like, and here's exactly where. And I just felt like Onyx Storm had zero moments for me to be like, oh my god, she's tying it back. Like, I see how we got here. It just like things happened and they just, that was it. And I just find that is like such a frustrating reading experience for me.
Yeah, there was a lot of things. And then there was like other like very obvious Easter eggs, like Eric's signet. Bro, obviously he can like tell the future. You're literally writing it basically. You're like, oh, Eric did this thing and then it happened. Eric said this was gonna happen and then it did. And then she's like, oh my god, he can tell the future. Yeah, duh.
And then when Sloane delivers the piece of paper from him and she doesn't even open it when she arrives. She just gets mad at Sloane for showing up. I'm just like, bitch,
after Eric was like, go to the like Temple of Dun on wherever they are because that's where you need to be, that's how you win. And she goes and they win and she's just like, oh no, that was my idea. Like, no bitch, that was Eric and he was right. And it's just there's so many things that I'm like, what? I just needed more.
And it's just frustrating because you and I love a theory. Obviously, we did 4 whole episodes on SJM and what theories we were thinking about and like how things were tying together. And
because she lets things tie together.
And for this, I'm like, I can even think about like what a fun theory would be for the next book. I'm like, the only thing that I can possibly think of that's like potential that I'm like still noodling on is that people have been like, Dane's character arc, like character growth is crazy. Like what she just like basically rewrote this character and like he was such a goody two shoes and now he's like part of the team. And I'm like, fair, there is a throwaway line where Garrick world walks or whatever his signet is. He like travels through thin air.
Yeah.
And they're like, how much do we trust Dane? And Xaden goes, not enough for him to have seen what he's just seen. And then like Dane disappears. And so I'm like, the only thing that's potential here is that Dane is actually not a good guy and he's been playing both sides. And I'm like, that is like the only interesting theory to me that I've been thinking about. But otherwise, I'm like, the story ends the same way that Iron Flame did. Xaden is bad. He's channeled. He left a note. Don't come after me. Blah, 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 blah. We're back to square one.
Violet is married and she doesn't remember anything.
And she doesn't remember anything.
And
People
it's
died. I didn't remember who they were. The fact that Traeger dies, I'm like, you brought him in to be a love interest for Kat, and then we immediately killed him. What actually was the point? I didn't feel any connection to them. I don't care. I guess it's just so that Kat can get over Xaden, but like, who really cares? I actually kind of liked the drama between her and Violet, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
It was entertaining.
And then someone else gets a cat for some reason, and the cat's never mentioned again.
Never mentioned Broccoli.
I was like, can we at least have Broccoli have like a signet of his own or something? He comes and like saves the day at the end. Like, I don't know, what is Broccoli up to? Like, what are we doing here? And then
Speaking of signets, and then
oh my gosh, the signets of it all. The signets of it all.
The signets of it all.
The signets of it all, dude. The signets of it all. The signets of it all.
One, when she's like, oh, we've just introduced this random ass first year now has shadows, and Xaden goes, it's balance. Okay, what are the other Venin? We don't know, and like we know one Venin who has a signet, and guess what? It's not even Violet's that she thought it was. It's actually her mother's. So who is hers? She can't be like, oh, we don't have a lightning.
Now is Violet gonna like advance to being a Storm Elder now because her mom's dead? So where's the balance there? Who's gonna manifest a fucking Storm signet and they're gonna be more powerful than Violet? Like, but all like what? And also, signets require a balance? What signets require balance?
Speaking
because is there only one person allowed for signet? Because they have all these fire welders and all of these ice welders, but there can only be one lightning and one storm and one shadow. Like, what is the gradient?
What is the gradient here? In 2, we've just introduced runes now. Okay, runes, and Violet's seemingly bad at these runes.
Well, that was the last book. They did a lot of runes.
They did some runes, but like she can't figure out her runes. Okay, and so I'm like, is the runes why all of the rebellion kids have second signets? Because the runes gave them? My theory, are they just going to load Violet up with rune relics at some point, and she's just going to have all of the signets? How does this work? And then Rebecca is on stage being like, well, how do you guys know that the dragons give them their real names? Well, bitch, how would I not know? Like, you're the one writing the books.
Like,
I don't know.
Like, why would I assume that they wouldn't?
Like,
you've given me no reason to distrust them.
Like, I don't know.
Karen has a full fucking paragraph that he says about his name every single time he talks about himself. So why would I think he'd be making that up? I thought he's just practicing his monologue. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean?
I just think she says things like out of context, and I'm like, well, if you had maybe written anything about this, like maybe I would have this thought, but she hasn't.
My favorite thing, here's my favorite thing, is that the Crescent Cities came out. Crescent City 2 gave us this like epic ending, just like so good, and the girls went off. The theory girls went off. There were so many theories rooted in facts, rooted in like page 57 line 3 of this book. like I was reading the Bible, bitch. Like I was like, I'm locked in. And I bought into every single one of them. They were contradictory, but I was like, all of these could make sense because you're using facts to convince me, and I'm bought in. Like, these are all incredible. Fast forward to Onyx Storm, theories coming out of this book. People are like, well, I feel like maybe it could happen because I thought it could be kind of cool. Like, rooted in nothing. I know, everyone's like, Violet's pregnant. For what? They're like, well, they were counting days. She had counted days. And I'm like, that means nothing. Also, the fact that she's like, oh, it's been almost 70 days since the last time we had sex, and you don't know you're pregnant yet? Like, that's actually not how that works. Like, everyone's like, well, she was counting days since the last time they had sex, so she's definitely pregnant. And I'm like, the bitch would be showing at this point. Like, I don't think you guys understand how this works.
You know what? Who knows? They might have a different system over there, but we wouldn't know. Rebecca could throw that in and it wouldn't.
Yeah, she's like, what makes you think that they follow our same menstrual cycle?
Bitch, good question. I
don't know. I guess maybe I should not assume that. Like, how do I know you're human? Actually, how do we know? How do we know that they're human beings? Like, she's never said it. She's never said they're not chipmunks. Like, how do I know?
You're right. You're right.
Like, but people are just like grasping at straws to come up with a theory, and it's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable. But you know what? Here's the thing. I'm going to be reading the next one.
Obviously. I'm counting down it. But that's another complaint that I have, is that she says, and another thing, she says, she's like, I pushed myself too hard. They all came out too close together. So I'm going to write another book before I write the next book of this. Girl. You can't be doing that. That's actually so fucked up.
That's diabolical.
Like
diabolical.
Don't piss me off that way. What do you mean you're gonna go write just like a normal like romance novel before you write this? You just have the fastest selling book of all time. Capitalize on this moment.
Literally. But again, this is my problem, is that I didn't like Iron Flame either, because I truly felt like it was too rushed. I think that she was trying to capitalize on the success of Fourth Wing, and it just like wasn't that good of a book. I can barely remember what happened, and I still watched a recap. Yeah. I'm like, my thing was for why Fourth Wing really worked is because it was like such a small window of time and like in a small like ecosystem. Like it was all within the school, and we had very clear
actual clear
challenges, right? Like we were moving the plot forward by very clear things that needed to be done. And now she's trying to build this really big world, but she hasn't set any of the context or any of the groundwork that has helped us understand how the world works. And like, so it's like she's trying to cash a lot of checks that like are gonna bounce, because I am struggling to understand, like, and I get that this is probably some sort of take on propaganda and like the government hiding things from us, right? Like I can conceptually understand this, but like at some point, why are we just finding out about Venin? Stephanie, whatever the hell her name is, seemingly is hundreds of years old. I can't tell how old she is, but like, what do you mean these people have been around forever and like only just in the past year we're finding out that Venin are a thing?
Right.
That doesn't seem right.
And Violet's mom knew about her because she's like she like locked the walls or the wards because Theophany. First of all, if we're gonna have 92 names in here, can you at least make them like
mildly normal?
Like, just call her Stephanie. like, why do we have to make it Theophany? Like, why did there have to be a TH? I don't understand. Anyways, but like, okay, so Violet's mom knew all about her. Like, I get it. Yeah, the propaganda. But like, why did in Fourth Wing, was it like this crazy thing that, again, Violet had to go to her dad's journals to find out about Venin, and now they're everywhere?
I am begging someone who is a good fanfic writer. I'm looking directly into my camera as I say this. I'm begging someone who is a good writer, fanfic writer.
Just rewrite this.
Rewrite the series. Send it to me because like,
the concept is so good. Like,
I truly,
the bones are there.
In the hands of a better writer, this would be our Lord of the Rings. Like, I think that there could be so much good content here.
Well,
but
see, that's what I'm hoping in with the TV series, because we're gonna have other writers, and we're gonna have other writers and editors and people that are like maybe gonna actually make this like a comprehensive like series.
Yeah.
Like, she's like, it's really good, guys. It's so good. And I'm like, yeah, because you didn't write it. Like, it's just like, she's like, wow, I didn't know this series could be so good. Like,
okay. I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to challenge you to say one thing really good thing about this book. That pause. That dead-eye pause.
Okay, no,
I'm trying to rack my brain for anything nice to say about this series.
No, I really liked the last like 10%. I really liked how she did like the final battle, and I liked having different POVs, and I really liked being in like the heads of other people. I liked seeing other people's dynamics with their dragons. I felt like that was like really fun, and I want more of that because I felt like it was like very interesting to like see how other people like communicate with their dragons and how they like use their different like signets and their communications and how their dragons like play to their different strengths and why they chose each rider and stuff. And I felt like that was very cool. I really liked Imogen's chapter. I did cry because I just felt bad that she was losing someone that she loved, even though I didn't really remember who Quinn was. But I was sad about it. And I feel as though, I don't know. Here's the thing: is I really sorry. I'm gonna bite. I just not a complaint. This is just a hope. This is a hope and a dream. Is that I hope we get more POVs in the next book, because I'm kind of people are gonna hate this. I think I might be a little bit over Violet and Xaden. Like, I just feel like their relationship is just very kind of stagnant, and like I feel like we've kind of like gotten everything. It's kind of how I felt at with ACOTAR.
Yeah,
like I was excited to have the book that goes into like Nesta and Cassian, because I was like, I'm excited to like explore a different relationship, because by that point I felt like I had gotten everything I could out of Reese and Feyre, and like still I'd like to go back into their heads sometimes and see like what's going on with them. But at this point of the like Fourth Wing series,
but
I would love to be in someone else's head.
Who new relationship could we possibly?
Imogen and Garrick.
I guess
that's like she was kind of setting it up as like that's the thing that Imogen had never.
This is the problem though, is that I feel like I don't feel I don't feel emotionally connected to like any of the characters. I'm like I'm not hopeful for any of you on any of these things.
Yeah.
Which is so frustrating, because I'm like, I want to feel like I have a little crush. I didn't even really enjoy the sex scenes in this book, and that's a crazy statement from me. I was half the time I'm trying to figure out the physics of how these things are working. I'm like, Rebecca, did you even act these out? How does this work?
They're always it really takes you out. It really takes you out of there to be like, who's where and doing what, why, and how.
All right, one thing that I really liked.
Yeah, tell me something you really liked.
One thing I really liked about this book was, I feel like I'm writing a book report. One thing I learned in boating school was,
yeah, not that easy, bitch.
It is. You're right. It's not that easy. One thing I liked is that it's over. No, I'm just kidding.
Nicole.
No.
You set this challenge.
The thing is that like I am hopeful. Fingers crossed. I really like the concept of like the priestesses and this dedication. I think that there could be good stuff here. I don't understand how the gods work in this world. I wish I had more understanding of it. I wish we had even heard about priestesses before this. Like, again, this was a new thing. And so like if she can get it right, I think that that's going to be like a really fun part for me. So I liked the introduction of this storyline, and I'm hopeful that in the next book we see Violet exploring that side of her instead of her whole being trying to save Xaden all the time. Like, I want her to be like, I trust that Xaden's gonna be okay for the time being. I'm gonna go figure out my shit right now. And so like I think hopefully, again, knock on wood, that's where we're going in the next book.
I doubt it, but I also hope so. She's still going to do everything.
Again, one of the other theories that I thought was interesting was that just to wrap this up, that Venin are dedicated to Malik.
That one I really liked, and I bought in.
You know, that's from our main bitch, Emily's Theories.
Emily's Theories is the only person that could make me. She's the only person that could make me like this book.
We should get her on the pod. We should see if she wants to come on the pod. Because I think
I would be starstruck. I actually.
This is like when we were trying to get Snoop Slime on the podcast.
So true. No, if Emily's theories came on this podcast, I don't know what I would do. I don't know how I would act.
I don't either. I would be like,
I'd just be like, talk to me.
Talk to me.
Talk to me.
So I liked that theory that
Yeah.
she was like, is it with the parapet, like they're actually not dying? Because they always say we commend your souls to Malik.
Yeah.
Are Venin like actually dead? Are they like building an army of Venin? Is this all a government plot? I don't know. Could make sense. But also the other theory that you and I were chatting about was that obviously before Xaden goes full Venin, he like says that he traps like a little bit of Violet, a little bit of light in his heart. And so I'm kind of seeing them being like a yin and yang type situation where Violet at some point like has channeled some sort of the darkness in her, and she has like a little bit of the darkness but is mostly the light, and obviously lightning and shadows and blah 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 blah. And I think that they're actually the balance to each other on the opposite sides. And so that could be an interesting way forward for them, but
agreed.
Who's to say?
None of us.
Not me. Rebecca could be throwing things in that have never been mentioned before.
So we might never hear about Xaden again. The boy's gone. He's just gone. She did say that someone in the next book, someone that you really care about, is not going to make it. And I said, it's a short list.
It's a short list.
It's broccoli.
Okay, enough with the roasting of Onyx Storm. I hope you guys enjoyed 45 minutes of us shitting on this book. If you didn't, I'm sorry, but you asked, we delivered. At the end of the day, I hope you did enjoy our conversation with Larissa, because we sure did, and that you take a little bit of that to heart and just know that your life doesn't end when you turn a certain age. You could always reinvent the wheel. Trust in yourself to make the right decision for you and just have fun with it. You know, I think,
why be upset when you can just have fun?
Exactly. Life is short. You have plenty of opportunities to do the things that you want to do. And I understand that sometimes that can come from a place of privilege where, you know, you might have the funds to be able to try something new, but at the end of the day, at least try and do something for yourself that's going to put you on a path to being at a place that you want. It doesn't have to be full time, but just make baby steps along the way. I think that that's kind of the thing that I've learned the most.
Amen. I couldn't have said it better myself.
But you know what? Until next time.
Until next time, everyone. We'll see you on the internet.
We'll see you on the internet. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to See You on the Internet.
To keep up with the fun between episodes, make sure to follow us at See You on the Internet Pod on both Instagram and TikTok.
And to join in on the fun on the podcast itself, call the Kate Nicole hotline at 646-780-9063 or email us at hi@seeyouontheinternetpod.com.
We'll be back with a new episode soon, but in the meantime, we'll see you on the internet.